so much all for coming. It's so nice to see so many of you here. This is the third year we are doing the hate speech monologues at CU, and I want to say a huge, enormous thanks for the 22 students who put time and energy to put this performance together. They have been wonderful. If I think of the group with whom we were doing it, I just start to smile. So I'm really moved by what this group have been doing, and I'm also moved that we came. I know everybody is very busy at CU, and also there are friends from outside, so we really appreciate you are here and spending this time together with us. You know that we will reflect on prejudices and so-called hate speech, which is often difficult, especially if we realize that it's not only a problem with others who may have prejudices. We need to notice prejudices in ourselves as well and in our own communities. We need to realize that as humans we are potential monsters, and that's the starting point to try to create a nice community together. And so the evening will be about these things from many perspectives, from many countries, many cultures, many departments. Students are from many programs and departments at CU. After the performance, which will be relatively short, less than an hour, we will have a discussion, talk back, and we are looking forward to hear your comments and questions. And not to forget, I thank very much as well for the student union, which like last year supported the performance this year as well, including the little reception, which will be a very modest reception after the talk back. But my mother made special cake for it. But watch out, if that's a choice. There will be only symbolic sized pieces. but if you eat that, for the rest of your life, you are a human rights activist. The rest of your life, you will fight for equality, as she worked for equality, for example, of Roma-Hungarian children in schools. So that's what we will do tonight. 3 parts: performance, talk back, and then chat outside with the little receptions. Thanks so much again for you all. About 10 years ago, I heard about an anti-Semitic program on a TV in Hungary, and I don't like to let such things go, so I wrote a letter, and I collected signatures for the letter to submit the whole thing for the National Radio and Television Commission, which is obliged to do something with such racist reports on TV. And I got a good number of signatures already when I met a friend, and he was looking at the list of signatures, and he looked at me and asked me, "Peter, do I see it well that you are the only person on the list?" I myself signed it. "You are the only person on the list who's not Jewish?" I was thinking, what should I do? Should I just stay there as a person who's not Jewish, so there is at least somebody there, not from the group, which is targeted by that example of so-called hate speech? And then my great-grandmother started to talk to me in my head, and I was thinking about what she wanted. What would have been her preference? I thought, shall I tell about you to my friend? She said, in the conversation in my head, "No, Peter, no need for that. You can just stay on the list as a clean Hungarian. I was thinking, what? She was joking. I thought, what does it mean, clean Hungarian? Should I run around with a soap all day or try to make sure that I'm Hungarian enough? And then she told me, no need to tell about anything in connection with me. You know, I baptized the day before my marriage, and you know that even in this family picture, I corrected my nose. Do you need more of an identity statement like that? I'm just Hungarian. And it's important, great-grandson, that if a group of people are targeted by prejudiced speech, there are people from outside of that group protesting against that prejudiced speech.
I simply know from my childhood that being Roma is not okay. So far, I was told this every day, everywhere, by everyone. My parents were telling me,
don't go to study!
Yeah, don't go to study. There is no use of it. Why do you study? You are a Roma, nobody will employ you. Better go on the field work and take care after your family.
I'm a teacher. I remember economic crisis in Russia in 1998. My government didn't pay salary for 6 months. I didn't have money to buy food. The sugar was the most precious sweet for my family. Once, my daughter asked me, "Pop, buy a sweet for me." I didn't eat it for a long time, and I said, "I can't, because I don't have money." Now I have a grandson, and I'm buying for him sweets every day, the most expensive and the most tastiest one, because I don't want him to experience this poverty and starvation and humiliation of being poor. I like Putin because he is bringing pacification and stability in my family and into my country. Because of his presidency, Russia is standing up on its knees. And I will do anything to protect my country from those who dare to overthrow my country.
I am a student. My mother has been working as an elementary school teacher for 20 years. She worked so hard to help me and my sister. But you know, just imagine her monthly salary is less than the price of a pen of our governor. She's been working so hard, but she's poor. Because you cannot be rich in Russia unless you steal from the budget, or you deceive people, or serve the regime. I know that people deserve more, and I want to change it in my country. The majority thinks that people like me just want to destabilize the country and do harm to them, probably. But I just cannot live in a country that doesn't care. I want to change it.
My name is Elvis, and I am from Macedonia.
You stinky gypsy!
You always cry around.
Hitler should have killed you all!
I shall not keep mute like my ancestors who silently died for establishment of your fatherland. We fought for these countries like everybody else did. This is my country. My feet are standing on this earth knowing that I belong. I belong to Europe because I came to Europe before you called yourself a nation. After all my efforts trying to be a decent citizen, dress well, smell well, talk smooth, you tell me that I am a gypsy and I don't belong here? Is this why Hungary segregates me? Czech Republic rallies against me? Slovakia ghetto me? Romania build walls where I live? Macedonia disrespects me? Is it a sin from a birth to be a Roma, or is it a lifetime struggle for dignity?
I was born Florin in the late 80s. 3 days after birth, I found myself on the streets of communist Romania, next to a dumpster, surrounded by dogs, transported to a hospital, transferred to an orphanage, locked behind bars, raped by older boys. beaten by those in charge of caring for me, humiliated, malnourished, and without hope. No light at the end of the tunnel, no counseling, no support. Just the aggressive silence of my loneliness. A David Copperfield of Eastern Europe, one of those kids promoted around the world in 1990 as Romania's newly HIV-positive generation, shared needles and a metal chain, keeping me from running away into society.
If a woman was drunk, she was partially responsible. If a woman failed to say no clearly to a man, she was partially responsible. If a woman behaved in flirtish manner, she was partially responsible. If a woman has many sexual partners, she was partially responsible. If a woman was wearing sexy or revealing clothing, she was partially responsible. If it's known that she was walking alone in unsafe places, she was partially responsible. Society tells us to stay at home after dark because we might shame the nations. What makes us to be responsible for such cruel action? Ourselves, our bodies, or our dresses?
September 1998. I was 10 years old when I faced discrimination for the first time. I'm a Muslim, but I was stopped enter a mosque. The people who stopped me, they told me I'm an inferior Muslim because I don't belong to their sect. They told me I'm a bad Muslim and they are good Muslims. I'm a bad Muslim because I don't belong to their sect. That day, I questioned myself. What makes them good Muslim and what makes me bad Muslim? Or is there anything like good Muslim or bad Muslim?
There are no good Muslims. All Muslims are terrorists, terrorists, terrorists.
It was back in 2009, my first year at the university in Turkey. I was wearing a black, weird-looking hat and a scarf around my neck. Wearing like that was not for the sake of being fashionable. It was because I had to wear something else instead of my hijab to cover my hair. Back in the 80s, the hijab was banned in public spaces in Turkey because Turkey wanted to promote itself as a secular nation. This prohibition prevented us from going to schools, hospitals as workers, going to parliament as a parliamentary member, going to assemblies, high schools, universities, even university ID cards. So even there, I had to look like an alien who coincidentally fell on Earth. I never spoke in the class. I never sat on the first rows. One day I wrote to the dean, telling him it is my right to wear hijab, to wear what I want. He wrote me back, saying, covering the head with scarf on university campuses is illegal.
We study, live, function here at CU as in a bubble. Thus we assume that CU is a safe place. We respect the other no matter the differences. We care and we love each other. But guess what? Things are not so simple. Today I'm here to present you few interesting stories. Stories that are real, but at the same time disappointing. They all happened at CU to CU people, between CU individuals, CU students, CU professors. When hearing the stories, you will discover a new side of all of those intelligent, intellectual, open-minded people. The side of prejudices, stereotypes, and hatred.
I am a psychologist. As you could imagine, I am naturally curious to understand human nature in general. But there is something that interests me especially because it shocks me really deeply. And this is the following. How is it possible to dislike, to feel hostility, or even reach to hate a person that you even don't know just because that person belongs to a certain group?
smart to see somebody, to categorize him or her as a member of an outgroup, to label him or her as a foreigner, as a woman, as a disabled, as a poor person maybe, and then to attribute him or her a series of characteristics, probably negative ones, that I assume that he or her will share on the basis of their group membership. Well, it doesn't really seem very smart, does it? But unfortunately, this is how it works. This is how prejudices are formed. And on the basis of them, people tend to judge others, to feel hostility towards others, and finally, to hate others. So I ask, what is the benefit of a person to be so irrational to dislike a total stranger? Let me show you what I found researching about the topic. Prejudices give us social and psychological benefits. They help us to compensate for a problem that we mainly have with ourselves. And this problem is the lack of self-esteem. As psychologists Stoffel and Turner believe, a person tends to judge people from the out-group negatively and those from the in-group positively, because in this way, it helps them to gain their self-esteem because they feel they are better than the others. And it also helps them to create a sense of positive social identity. That means a strong and deep feeling of belonging within the in-group. So as you can see, we mainly use prejudices to compensate for a lack of self-esteem. But if we have healthy self-esteem, then we will be less likely to use prejudices because we won't need to be part of a group that is better than the others to feel good about ourselves. So my message to you is to kindly encourage you to do something very simple, but at the same time very important, which is to love yourself, to have a good self-esteem. And not only because, self-esteem is one of the main sides of mental health, as we psychologists say, but also because it will make us less likely to hate, and that will contribute to create a more peaceful world.
Do you think that this person has strong positive self-esteem? He's Milan Rózsa, 25 years old on this picture. He's an LGBTQ activist in Hungary who stands for the rights of all other groups as well. And on his cloth you can see a special flag that he combined from the three colors of the Hungarian national flag and the rainbow flag of the LGBTQ movements. I'm sure that many homo-nationalists wouldn't necessarily approve that. But as you can see, he's wearing it with self-confidence, with his warm smile, energy, optimism. When he put on Facebook these colors, he added text. And the text, again with his smile, was saying, let's create a country free of prejudices. We want a country free of prejudices. We can do that. We can make it happen. It won't happen by itself. We need to act, but we can do it. We can make miracles happen. That was his message. And he was so brave. He told us that he was going to climb over the fences of the Russian embassy to hold up the rainbow flag in front of the door of the building to protest the persecution of LGBTQ people in Russia. He was brave. He said, when I asked him, are you not worried about it that they may shoot you? He said, they won't shoot me. They may put me on ground or push me to the wall, but I'm ready for that. I know what I'm doing. So with that self-esteem and energy, what do you think, where is he now? He took his own life last fall at the age of 26. He was very young, as most of you in this room. He took his own life. One can just wonder how much anti-LGBTQ speech and other prejudice he had to face during the 26 years of his life. It was not possible to mention at his funeral, so I mention it now at least, that he was gay. Before his death, few days before, I met him at the end of the huge demonstration nearby at the Buddha side of Cambridge. He smiled and asked me, "Peter, would you do a slam poetry?" "I will do, Milan. I will do. And I hope next time we will have a chance to talk in time."
Being Roma is not okay. Every day, listening to the radio or watching the news, I hear that
Gypsies are poor and dirty. They are criminals. They are only begging, stealing, and killing.
I stopped watching the news. I'm questioning myself, am I this really? Probably it's better not to say that I'm Roma.
I watch TV every day. I know who these people who wants to destroy my country. The government gave them everything, education and protection, but they didn't respect, and they don't respect how Putin is working to protect my motherland from the hostile West who wants to destroy my country. The West is corrupted. They betrayed all moral values. Gays spoiled marriages. Children are taken away from normal families to be raised in same-sex marriages. And only Russia is standing against the West to save the world from complete destruction. Who are these people, not even people, but creatures and dogs, who dare to oppose my government? Who are they? Is it obvious? They are nothing but enemies, and they have no place in my country. Go to the United States. Go away. Leave my country.
These people just tolerate lies. They're so passive. It seems that they're ready to sell their self-esteem for commodities. They have already shown us that they're ready to sell their vote for sausages. They're ignorant, illiterate people that do not have their own opinion. It's all Putin's propaganda. They're all zombies. Vatniki. I participated in a protest meeting. They shouted at me. I faced a lot of hate, and they blamed me for being a monkey, a traitor, a betrayer. I saw this hate and the wish to revenge for nothing, and I did not understand why. I just wanted better life for all of us, but I faced only ignorance. At one moment I looked at one woman's eyes and she was shouting at me. I just realized she doesn't see any personality in me, but she hated me so much, I think she was almost ready to kill. I was really frightened, but I did not stop.
My name is Elvis, and I am a Muslim from Macedonia.
We have a terrorist in the building!
You are radicals, there is no good from you.
All you know is killing.
Again and again you point a finger at me and tell me that you hate me. Blame is to put on people who use my religion to show evilness and cruelty. Not in my name. Blame the radicals, the outlaws, the bandits. Not my religion, not my brothers and sisters. Was Avicenna a terrorist? Is Muhammad Ali a radical? Would you say that Ibn Khaldun was a fundamentalist? You blame the terrorists, and I blame them with you. but not my religion. Its people, Muslims, who use the name Islam, are sinful and distort my religion. The religion of peace, love, and tolerance. Living as a Roma Muslim in Europe is crazy. Can't go to East. They call me gypsy, Tsigani, Tsigan. Can't go to West. They call me terrorist, radical, fundamentalist.
At 16, I ran away into society. No education, no perspectives, no healthcare, no work. Just sex work. Not enough to pay rent, not enough to think of identity. An identity I have been struggling for, putting aside money to buy a wig, a dress, makeup, stockings, and a bit of acceptance and self-fulfillment. My life changed the moment I got a small part in a Romanian movie. I played, as expected, a young Roma thief. I was too dark, too skinny, and too stupid to land any other role. A year in a brothel in Switzerland allowed me later to start transitioning into me. I was becoming a woman. I've always been a woman. I'll always be a woman until I die. The questions I was asked on TV all the time, did you do it? Did you cut it off? As if I weren't a human being, but merely a pair of genitalia. A society obsessed with my surgeries, only if there were any. I became a star, the most famous transgender person in Romania. I had to look up in the dictionary what the word transgender meant. No entry in the Romanian language. I did not exist as a category. I only existed as a transvestite.
They were raped, they suffered, they died. But yet, society tells us, dress discreetly, do not go out alone, do not go to bars and clubs, do not go out during the night. If you break the code, you're gonna be blamed for it. You're gonna be blamed for the consequences. If a girl is dressed discreetly in a decent way, a boy will not look at her in a wrong way. A decent girl won't roam around 9 o'clock. Housework and housekeeping is okay. Not running around in bars and clubs. Once again, society teaches us how to avoid getting raped instead of teaching them not to rape.
March 2011. I was traveling in a bus with 25 people. The bus was stopped by militants. They entered the bus and asked everyone about their religion. They didn't do anything to me because I belong to their religion. But they killed 20 people in front of me because those people belong to a different religion. That day, I questioned myself, should I be proud of my religion?
In 2010, the ban on headscarves was finally lifted. I was so happy that eventually I could go to the uni with my hijab. But you know, prejudices, stigmatization do not get eradicated so easily. Sometimes on a bus, sometimes in a cafe, people would say horrible explanations, would give horrible explanations for their hatred against hijabi women. A 70-year-old grandma could dare to order me to take my hijab off because I was looking so backward. A friend of mine from the university would tell me that he respects me as a human, but he doesn't see any reason why I cover my hair for political reasons. Political reasons? What political reasons? Just want to cover my hair. I don't need politics for that.
A story of a female CU student from the subcontinent. A CU female student from the subcontinent studying at the School of Public Policy went to an academic writing consultation about her midterm paper. After noticing few spelling errors in the paper, the professor advised her to correct them. Although the paper was written in a proper English, he sarcastically stated. Maybe this is how you do it in your country, but it's not how it works in the UK. He ignored the premise that a lot of Indians nowadays have an extremely good English.
Why do we hate? Well, we view the world in categories. We turn people into allegories and place them in the context of a bad children's story.
My mom told me you are a gypsy. If I don't watch, you're gonna steal me. You beg and steal and lie and cheat. Is it true that you live in your own shit? I'm staring at her without saying anything. The first day in kindergarten, when Lotzi got everything. Running home to my mom, asking her, why are we gypsies? At that moment, she was shedding tears for her babies.
Ah, but why do we hate? Well, it's a natural way of being. It's an instinct, like fighting or fleeing. Hate is the social Darwinian way of dealing.
Lotzi, my friend, I don't have any problem with gypsies. I don't have any problem with you being gypsy. But most of you beg and steal and lie and cheat. Is it true that you live in your own shit? So the problem is with those who beg and steal and lie and cheat. Shh! I'm watching at him without saying anything. The problem is that you don't know me. The problem is that you don't want to know me. The problem is your ignorance. And that you became bold, wearing boots, and acting like innocent. The problem is in your manipulated head. I'm not an issue! My mother keeps on crying. I got her some tissue.
Ah, but why? Why do we hate? Well, maybe we learn it from our surroundings, our friends and family, the source of its founding. The TV, radio, internet keeps pounding the information we're told to resoundingly accept. But is it part of a false binary? A product of shady philosophy? Is hate social psychology? It seems to be a prominent position of fiction that causes friction despite its contradictions. It's the ploy for the ambitions of politicians whose only addition to discourse is superstition. It's a story without end, so you can know who is foe and know who is friend. But, with my monopoly on knowledge, and with intellectual polish, and using language normative, exploratory, and slightly decoratively, with research grants that are boundless, and a methodology that's not too soundless, I will answer once and for all why we hate.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, today is an important day. We are going to change the life of the Roma. We are going to integrate them. Of course, I'm talking about those who can add to our perfect society with their labor force. However, we still have to work to decrease the number of those who beg and steal and lie and cheat. And it is true that they live in their own shit. I'm about to throw the TV out of the window. Instead, I'm watching it without saying anything. Systematically, they create politically ill structure. Is there someone who can invent a pill to cure this madness? Doctors? Many of you are PhD. You know, I was born to be an immigrant in my own country.
One good thing is that we have the freedom to work for what Milan was working for, equal dignity for all. One way we were doing that in 2013, we did a demonstration for the integration of schools in Hungary for the abolishment of the segregation of Roma Hungarian children in schools. Now it's 2015, and the government in Hungary, and it's not about which party, the government is in Hungary, the government that is supposed to represent the people in Hungary, just legalized a form of segregation in schools by saying that they help poorly doing students. In translation, that means almost exclusively Roma-Hungarian students in separate catch-up classes. They call it loving segregation or loving support for those children. And they don't seem to care too much that people are telling them that that's not good for children who are segregated. And actually, love and segregation cannot be reconciled with each other. So let me ask, maybe, is there anybody in the room from those government circles, government officials, public officials, who think that it helps children to, if we put them into separate, segregated classes? Anybody from those government circles? It seems not, so let me reach them in another way. Here is a letter I prepared, and it just got sent to an institution which is responsible for public education in Hungary, and I just submitted an information claim for all information regarding segregation of Roma-Hungarian children in schools, including the plan to do it in the name of helping them. And if they don't get us the data, then I will take them to court.
Segregation, discrimination, integration. Being Roma is not okay. For the rules and the laws of my country, I do not exist. My language is not being taught at schools. I'm being told I have no culture. Many times I will be treated differently by public administrators because I look different. Moreover, on the top of everything, today the European Union tells me that I'm poor and marginalized. This makes me sick. I am a Roma, and I'm nothing of this. All I want is a mutual respect. And with all my respect, EU.
Yeah.
Dignity for Roma, dignity for all.
The inequality is so high in such a rich country.
Liberals!
People in Russia deserve more.
Faggots!
We need free and fair election.
Go to
Yes!
Seriously?
Go
There
away.
should be freedom in our country.
Go away! Go away!
We need to change it.
Banderlord!
People have rights.
Betrayers! Traitors!
People have rights even in our country.
Foreign agents!
Listen, we have educated people.
American
And
prostitutes!
and motivated people to change it.
Fascists! Fascists! Fascists!
We need to change the regime.
Boris Nemtsov, you can see in the picture, one of the leaders of the opposition movement and proponent of change, was shot dead 200 meters away from the Kremlin Palace in Moscow in the night of February 27th. And the person who ordered this murder still not found.
And just when I lost all my hopes, I saw the perfect opportunity of free hate spot in Europe. The Central European University. Currently I'm a student at the legal department.
Oh, he's a good gypsy!
I see you, man. It's like a dream being here. The most prestigious place in Europe. Taught by world-class in high-tech classrooms with friends from all over the world. You know, once I decided to play a table football at the Bambus Bar in the dormitory. It was a random night and we beat everybody. And our next opponents, a boy and a girl.
That was not a goal.
Yes, it was.
Should we count it?
No.
We should count it.
Okay, we don't have to be gypsies for a goal. I hope there are no gypsies around.
Dear Roma, do you have any problem with that?
Stop here. Do you think she apologized?
Hopefully.
Please raise your hand if you think so. Okay, let's see. Action.
You know how it goes. It was just a joke.
So, if you were in my place, how you would react?
Cold February day in 2009, grey Bucharest. Two men, big heavy fists, shouting, yelling, laughter, disgust, pleasure, homophobia, racism, and transphobia. What can be more pleasurable than hitting someone who challenges your worldview? What can be funnier than attacking the trashiest, most famous and hated local celebrity, Naomi? Me, the transvestite single-handedly responsible for all of Romania's hatred of homosexuality. On one side of the arena, the Orthodox society, the great patriarch of the Orthodox Church, pushing me around, inciting the thugs. On the other side, the gay community, laughing and cheering because justice was being served. I had embarrassed the gays enough, it was payback time. A pair of scissors and hair everywhere. It's not the punches that hurt. It's the losing of my femininity. They took away my hair, and with it, my human dignity.
They lost everything, but yet we hear, blaming the victim. You asked for it. You deserve to be raped. Sexual explicit jokes. Defining manhood as dominant and sexual aggressive. Defining womanhood as submissive and sexual passive. Pressure on men to score. Pressure on women to not appear cold. Assuming that men do not get raped or that only weak men do. Rape is not about being a girl or a boy. Rape is abuse of power, and it's a crime. So we better start teach them not to rape.
December 2013. It was midnight when my neighborhood was attacked. My neighborhoods were attacked because there were Christians living there. The militants didn't attack my home because I belonged to their sect. 160 houses of Christians were burned and many Christians died. At that day, I questioned myself, what is the purpose of religion? Or do we really need a religion?
Humanity comes first. Humanity is above all religion.
So the more I was projected to hatred and discrimination, the more I realized that there are other people who were subjected to discrimination. I realized Kurds are being mentioned as backward because they can't speak Turkish without an accent. And they're terrorists because they fight for education in their native language. Shiis and Alevis are not real Muslims because they're not Sunni Muslims. Armenians, they are traitors. They stabbed us in the back. And we didn't kill them during the Armenian genocide. What is a genocide anyway? Arabs, Greeks, Georgians, Jews, you could count as much as you want. The more I was subjected to hatred, the more I saw these people. And I thought, maybe it's not a bad thing to be discriminated against, because it makes you realize something.
Now I will tell you two more stories which happened at CEU. The first story is a story of a female Roma student. A CEU Roma student from Hungary attended a panel discussion on the topic of Roma discourse in Hungary. supported by the Department of Nationalism, CEU, where a panelist publicly denied the Roma Holocaust and recognized Roma as criminals, thieves, and lazy people. Even though after a while the department apologized for the event, an official apology from the panelists never happened. A story of an Estonian student. CEU student from Estonia studying at the Department of IRES asked her colleagues for an advice where to rent a flat in Budapest. Previously, she heard about more affordable rents on the 8th district. On that, her colleague reacted. You don't really want to live like in a zoo. You know, 8th district among Roma, among Jews, among immigrants, all in one place. What can be worse? Well, are these stories a proof of the failure of the open society motto of CEU? Look around. Can we still argue that CEU is committed to promote values of tolerance and respect of diversity? Or the main aim is to promote a new series of judgmental academics and professionals?
Who are targeted by hate speech? Minorities. That would be the answer of a diligent student. Visible and invisible, large and small, in a more subtle or a more explicit way. But why should those who do not think they have a minority segment of their identity care for those who are targeted? After all, we are the good people. We do not spread hatred on others. In most of our countries, there are laws which should step in when these ugly things happen. Why it isn't enough? Because democracy, majority rule under the condition of safeguarding minority rights. Hate speech does not have to destroy democracy, but hate speech that is not responded effectively to by citizens undermines democracy. No matter how perfect laws seem to be there, provided by the enlightened state. And those who are not convinced by the need to help democracy to breathe, look at your own interest. Do you think you will never be targeted just because you are not a Roma, a homosexual, a Muslim, an immigrant, or a woman? Don't get distracted. I'm left-handed. Today it's unlikely I would be targeted because of my left-handedness. But few decades ago, in this very country, I would be forced to learn writing with my right hand simply because right is right. Why isn't enough? Why it doesn't happen today? Because there were enough people who realized the stupidity of the practice. So everybody can be a minority, and for those who are not convinced by the democracy argument, there is the self-interest argument. Let's use our self-esteem, go to the public sphere, and use our power of example we all have to show why hate speech is simply foolish.
No hate!
No hate.
No hate!
No hate!
No hate!
No hate.
For the last 1 hour, you are so kind to pay attention on different types of hate expression performance, but unfortunately, our family members, relatives, and neighbors have to experience everything. But what is the message of this session? How will we proceed further? You know, I'm a human being, and I have a message to all of us to address this type of speeches. Yes, no hate, but there is a single hate. This is hate the hate. Hate the hate. We are human beings. We are created to love. Love not only humans, but all creatures of the world. Hate the hate, love as you want others to love you. We are human beings, we are human beings. All of us are created with same flesh and blood. Me too. Don't kill creatures. Our slogan, hate the hate and love. Love me as you love yourself. Thanks all for your patience. Let me say to all our slogan. Hate the hate, love all. Hate the hate, love all. Please spread this slogan to the world.
Transgender people are human beings too.
Rapists rape people, not outwit.
Teach yourselves, teach your children not to hate.
Not backward because of my outlook.
Hate speech is simply foolish.
Muslims are not terrorists.
I'm not an issue.
Is CU indeed an open society?
It is a way to avoid the problems of being human.
My short skirt is not an invitation.
Ignorance is not.
Hey babe, you're sexy. I would beg you. Compliments.
We have to love compliments.
Living as a Roma in Europe is very hard, but not everyone can be a Roma.
Make sure that you have a very healthy self-esteem.
Hate the hate, love all.
We can change it.
Think critically what you watch and read. Word skill.
Guys, I almost have a 5-point typology on why we hate.
Where is the equality?
Humanity transcends all religions.
Does the first letter of human means hate?
No.
Humanity.
Yes.